Welcome, gorgeous seekers, to this brand new moon magic, the first moon magic of 2019. I am so excited to sit here and do this with you. I have to be honest, this moon magic has been eluding me for the last day and a half. I try and sit down and talk through this moon, and it's just not clicking. And it's really funny because I have the most amazing feelings about this moon. I think it's beautiful. I think it's so supportive. And yet it's been making me wait until I understood and felt in this flow that's very specific to this moon. And it has to do with learning how to release control. And it has to do with relaxing in. Now, generally speaking, like in my life, I have been experiencing beautiful moments of flow and ease, and I've been doing a lot of experimentation with that sense of ease. And this new moon has a lot to do with what we're saying yes to, and also where we're picking our battles and why we're choosing the hard way. I'm going to get into all those messages. But the point being, before I start getting into the aspects, the messages, the cards, that it's taken me a minute to get into just the right space for this playful new moon. Okay, so we're talking about the Capricorn New Moon. It's happening on January 5th, and it's exact around 8:30 Eastern Time. It's at 15 degrees of Capricorn. It's a new moon with a partial solar eclipse. So this isn't going to be a visually spectacular solar eclipse. It's going to be visible to a tiny portion of the world near China. And the rest of the world, we're not going to see anything with this. So we're just going to play with this energy. It's the first eclipse that will be happening in the Capricorn Cancer eclipse series that's going to be happening for the next year and a half. So we're just getting our first taste of what this new energetic cycle is going to feel like. And I was thinking about it because we're at one of the fun things about being a consciousness, is we get to keep experimenting with new energetic phases. And there's always a new one. There's always a new energetic phase to explore. And the last few months we've been shifting from one very clear energetic phase into a new one, and it's been really fun to play with this. And that's the first thing I want to say about this new moon. Hold it lightly. Just like I would recommend holding the new year lightly and holding the first few days of this new year lightly, keep that rolling into this new moon. Don't try and sit there and come up with all your objectives, all your intentions, and write them out bullet pointed, ABC with sub bullet points. You know, I'm looking at certain possibly Virgo minded people. I'm a Virgo moon, so I'm with you. But you know, this moon, despite the fact that it's in Capricorn, which is a cardinal earth sign, and it is influenced by Saturn, I want to remind you here, before we get into the bigger messages, to hold this lightly. Hold what you want to create in this life lightly. Hold 2019 lightly. And this moon will give you so much information. But you can't manhandle this energy. This is what's really interesting about it, and this is what I'm connecting in with this moon. You know, Capricorn is this grounded, earthy energy, and this new moon is very connected to Saturn. Saturn's at 11 degrees of Capricorn, which is only a few degrees away from this new moon, and they're all hanging out there. And there's a lot of powerful energy in Capricorn as this new moon's happening. Pluto's still there, working in Capricorn as well. It's many degrees away, but still, it's a part of this conversation, this Capricorn conversation. And one of the beautiful things about this moon, and why I'm saying to hold it lightly, is this moon is holding you. This moon is a beautiful representation of divine masculine in the father form. And the healthy masculine fathering energy is one that encourages you to grow, encourages you to take risk, encourages you to try things and get back up and try it again in a way that is very loving, but also says you gotta like open yourselves up to that road. And that is what this energy is. And that's why you trying to hold yourself rigid isn't going to help. Trust in this energetic exchange, trust in this energetic conversation, because it's here to help you open up. And what's so beautiful about it is we have that kind of fatherly energy nurturing and nudging us forward during a partial solar eclipse. Solar eclipses are all about all roads being open, all options being on the table for you, and you taking a moment to sit there and parse through and figure out what options do you want to take. And so having that eclipse action in this nurturing, yes, it's grounded. Yes, it can be a little stern, but it's also saying, I want you to do well. I want you to go for those things that you've been holding yourself back for. I want you to open up to that. So it's just this, there's poetry, if you know what I mean, right? And so there's this opening energy, and it is soft, it is quiet. It's not about big drama here. This is about just recognizing that we're now moving into this new territory. And also recognizing what you want to say yes to. Now, one of the other big notes I have for this new moon is our relationship with success and the concept of getting yes. Because a lot of times we hold ourselves back from making those phone calls or making those sales pitches or sending those emails or reaching out for an opportunity that we want because we are afraid of the yes. We're afraid that actually the person's going to pick up on the other end and say, yeah, let's do it. And then you're going to have to show up to that project, show up to that travel, show up to that relationship, show up to that new challenge, that new role. And it, you know, a lot of times we'll hold ourselves back because we don't feel prepared, we don't feel worthy, and we don't feel that we can handle it. And a lot of us pulled back over the Venus and Mercury retrogrades near the end of 2018 a little bit, right? It was a big assessment period, and it was important for us to pull back because we were looking at what we valued. We were looking at what we wanted to build in life. We were looking at where we felt we weren't worthy of something. And some of us pulled back from things that actually are very good for us, are meant for us, but we just needed to slow down to connect with it and figure out why we were holding ourselves back. And this new moon is kind of reintroducing to certain of you that did feel that you pulled back from something that's meant for you. This new moon is kind of reintroducing those paths to you and saying that path is still there. It's still meant for you. And this is a great time for you to really engage with why you are a little nervous about that yes, and not even the why. I think it's much more important that we just do that energetic work and say, I want this, and allow ourselves to want it, right? So that's one thing that's coming up. You know, where are you holding back from saying yes? Here's the other hold back, and here's the other reason why we may not want a yes. And this is equally important to kind of consider. Sometimes we feel pressure to play a certain role, be in a certain relationship, or create a certain project because we feel like we're supposed to. And so we don't want that yes because it doesn't feel good for the yes to come. Not because we're scared of it, not because we're intimidated, not because we don't think we can do it, but because we don't actually want to do it. And that's the other aspect that will be coming up here. Where do you feel you're saying yes to things just to say yes because you feel like you should? So you're going to be parsing through what's a yes that you've just been kind of putting back because you're a little nervous, and what's a yes that you've been pushing back because you don't actually want, you really don't want that road ahead, right? When all roads are open, one of the things we want to look at is we want to just really focus in on those one or two pathways that are really speaking to us and calling to us and connecting with us. And that is going to be some of the work that you're going to be doing here in this moon. Now, you know, with Capricorn energy, the information you're going to get is going to be cut and dry. So don't try and get all analytical and like come up with the numerous ways that it complicatedly could be this way or that way. Intuitively, when you're working with Capricorn energy influenced by Saturn, the answers are going to be very firm and clear. We just often resist the wisdom of this because it's so crisp. And so one thing I want you to notice is that it's normally going to be the first answer you hit on. It's not going to be the ones where you sit there analyzing. Once again, another reason to hold this moon lightly, because if you're holding it really tense, you can analyze yourself into any answer. And a new moon really is about sitting in the darkness and letting yourself feel. Just letting yourself feel energetically what feels good, what feels exciting, what feels invigorating, and focus in on that. I have some key words for this new moon that come up with the energy that it invokes. And that is decide, value, believe, and act. We need each of these components in order to live a life that feels enriching and alive and warm and supportive to us. We need each of these. A lot of times our indecisions, our overanalyzing is where we get into our heads and we stop ourselves from feeling that full joy. That's where we stop ourselves from just going for it and playing and getting into the yes of what we want to do. And another thing to think about is while this is stern fatherly energy, in the end, the things we're saying yes to, the things that we get excited about, it's in the name of play. It's in the name of experimentation. It's in the name of finding out what will happen next. And so we always want to remember that too. Valuing and believing in yourself as well is one of those things I think we think that we have it on lockdown because we checked in with it during Venus retrograde. We check in with it sometimes, but you know what? It's always a good idea to look at where you are letting yourself believe and value in the context of this. Okay, and then of course, if you've done that energetic work, the actions you take will just make sense. Let's start working with some of these cards. I'm really curious to see what's going to come out. I love this moon. I'm so looking forward to it. The energy going into this new year is to hold it softly, feel through, allow yourself to daydream. Also, just don't worry about getting all these answers, you know? Whoa, the card just fell on the floor. What is it? Oh, 5 of Swords. Okay. This is really interesting that this card came out. Because, you know, the 5 of Swords always makes me think if I have somebody, if I'm working with somebody, or whenever, if I'm working with myself, anytime this card comes out, the first word that comes to mind is trust. And a lot of times when this card comes out, it's because we're not trusting ourselves. We don't trust ourselves to make the best choices for ourselves. And we've all been through phases in our life where we weren't treating ourselves the best. So we would make decisions and we would get involved in situations that didn't feel good to us, that didn't feel supportive of us in our energetic journey. And then we'd have to end up looking over our shoulders, wondering, is somebody doing something sneaky? Is somebody looking out for my best interests? Are they just going to abandon me? Are they just going to lie to me? What have you? So the first thing I'm seeing here, right, is that we have to trust ourselves. We can't keep second guessing what we need in life. We can't keep second guessing what we feel on that intuitive wisdom level. Trust in what source is giving you. And stop trying to analyze yourself into why you need to be in something or not be in something, right? The 5 of Swords is so much about a lack of self-trust. So this is a great moon to get grounded. You know, the other thing with this energy is that it's reminding you to be your own divine masculine fatherly energy, right? That looks out for you and that makes wise, focused, grounded decisions that you can trust in. And that doesn't always have to be about just fiscally, financial, what have you. Like, I think that's an erroneous way to sometimes think about Capricorn energy. Capricorn energy is about getting things done, but it's also about understanding that things happen in the right time and that things happen in good timing when we're trusting ourselves and we're doing right by ourselves. There's an authenticity to this energy that is absolutely about the simplicity of it. So, you know, if you're somebody who wants to travel and you're feeling that call to go be in that new location or go do that thing, that might be the right answer for you. You've got to trust in that. You can't be looking over your shoulder. 7 of Swords came out. Okay. Wow, you guys. What can I say? There's a little bit of the resistance going on here, I'm noticing. A little resistance to the simplicity of the wisdom you're going to be getting during this new moon. For some of you. Some of you, I think you're going to be very refreshed by this. I personally am super excited. However, this is what I will say. These are both cards about a lack of trust, right? In whatever scenario. And one of the things I also always pick up with these cards, this is imposter syndrome energy, right? So where we don't feel that we have the value to do the things we want to do, that we're getting away with something, that we're sneaking around with something, that we have to kind of second guess our own value within what we're stepping into. So these are both talking about that, right? And so what's coming up here is, why are you feeling that you can't step into that new role? And like I said, we're not going to sit here in this new moon and just ask why. In fact, you know what? 7 of Cups came up at the bottom of the deck while I was sitting here, and I'm just including it in this conversation because We want to get from Seven of Swords into Seven of Cups. Seven of Cups is a dreamy energy. It can feel a little foggy, but here's the thing. If you relax into that Seven of Cups energy where there is all these options are open, right? Every cup. If you're relaxed in that space, you'll pick the exact right cup for you. You'll be able to energetically feel that cup, pick it up, feel the emotional quality that connects with it and know it's right for you. And it will be that easy. You won't have to drink from each of these cups and find out some of them are poison and some of them are not. This card is all about the intuitive self-trust. So there are some deep themes coming up. I'm going to pull one more card. There are some deep themes coming up with these cards, you guys. And I think it's because some of us have not been wanting to trust in this bigness coming up for us, whether that be in a career move that you're making, in a travel move you're making, in a lifestyle change you're making, in a relationship change you're making. There has been this kind of like, should I really make that change? What if cutting this off? Or what if saying yes to this is going to cause problems for me? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I shouldn't do it. And there's a little resistance to that. And I think there's been some fogginess with it leading into the new year. This moon is kind of just asking you, why are you so resistant to just making that choice for you that you know is so good for you, that you know is so valid for you? And why are you holding yourself back from that? Empress. Oh, I love it. I love it. The queen of value, right? That was one of my key words that I wrote in my notebook before I even started this conversation, was value. The divine feminine had to come into this conversation, right? Because I've been talking a lot about divine masculine energy working in this moon. The divine feminine, I always say with her, she understands how to relax back into things. She understands how to relax back into the grounded knowing. And one of the things that is going to be a theme for 2019 is the Empress energy, because Uranus is going to be in Taurus for most of the year, starting in March. And then on for many, many years after that. The Empress is a way we are going to be learning how to move through the world. And the Empress understands that you don't get things done by battling through it all the time. She understands that harvests come via a process and that we need to be fully engaged in that process, right? She is the flow queen. Like, she just understands timing. She understands process. She understands joy in the moment. She understands that abundance comes through a headspace of that. And, we have to balance out our divine feminine and masculine. We need both inside of us to find that self-trust so that we don't feel like this. Because often, Five of Swords and Seven of Swords is kind of like feeling like you're an abandoned child, like you're a child and you are, you don't have anybody looking out for you, and you're in some kind of playground and your parents have forgotten about you, and you don't know what the right answer is. And we do abandon ourselves in our self-mothering and our self-fathering, and our self-parenting at times throughout our lives. And when we do that, we feel this energy. So one thing to really think about with this new moon is that it is about knowing, just knowing and believing and trusting that you do have your best interest. But you do have to listen to those deeper grounded voices that do give you very crisp information and say, hey, you've got to take that chance. You've got to put that work out there in the world if you want somebody to see it. Hey, if you have a person that you want to make amends to, or you want to talk to, or who's been on your mind, you're going to have to step forward and call on them. If you feel you want to be more vulnerable and more open in your relationships or in you're going to have to show up and do that. You can't just kind of avert your gaze, right? And there's that's where that Capricorn energy can be perceived as stern, or that Saturn energy can be perceived as stern. But a lot of times it's just like, hey, I want you to make good choices. And right now you're sabotaging yourself by avoiding that yes, by avoiding that pushing forward, by avoiding that opening forward is more what I'm trying to say there. So take the Empress with you, take Saturn with you. And the other thing that's really interesting with Empress and Saturn energy, divine masculine feminine, is timing. Timing is always perfect. I think that's something that you should really sit with during this new moon. There's a lot of eagerness when a new year starts that we've got to start just going. We should have it all figured out. We should have it lined up. We should have our regimens. We should have our New Year's resolutions in action, and we should be getting on it. By the time February hits, we should have all these answers. Take that off the plate. Take that off the plate. Ride the wave. Feel the energy. Mother and father the heck out of yourself and enjoy it. Enjoy the Christmas of what you're getting as far as answers, because you will. You're going to get answers. I love this moon. I'm so excited for it. I think we've needed some of this earthy, hearty energy to just give us that healthy boost forward. Like, you're going to be fine. Don't worry about it. You got it. You're fine. Chill. Chill out. Get into that flow state, right? I'm really interested in doing more, even like maybe a video series about the state of flow, because it's such an amorphous concept. And, you know, we hear all these platitudes about flow. Oh, you're in the state of flow. You're in alignment. And there are a lot of resources out there that are great for understanding it in different language ways. But I still think it might be fun to do a short video series about flow and some different ways you can find that flow and you can find that good feeling sense of time and space and all of that. Would you guys be interested in that? Because I think that would be a really fun thing to include in our conversation for 2019. It's such an important part of how we're moving through the process and the journey moving forward. So let me know what you think about that. Year ahead readings are up on Vimeo. I'll leave the link below. Go check those out if you want an overarching message for your year, for your aspects. I have all 12 signs on there, so I will leave the link for that. I'm doing private readings. I will leave my website in the description box as well, and you can follow me on Instagram at @SARAHTAROT. I will see you guys for more adventures. I'm so excited to open up 2019 with this new moon. I think it's gorgeous. I hope you guys have an amazing time with it. Take your time. Let that darkness be like a nice, warm, cozy, snuggly blanket. Give yourself that love. Give yourself that trust. Let the good times roll, my friends. I think it's time. I'm so into it. 2019 is going to be just amazing. Like, such good stuff. Such good stuff happening all around. I will see you guys for the next moon magic, which is going to be a Leo full moon, lunar eclipse that... Oh, talk about doorways. That'll be exciting. I'll see you guys very soon.